Have you ever walked into a room and felt a sudden extreme shift in your emotions? Like from neutral to angry? I was feeling happy a minute ago. What happened? You might be an empath. Our topic today is all about empaths. We're going to review how to tell if you're an empath, the advantages, the difficulties, and even learn how to identify dark empaths. Stick with us until the end of the video for Gaia's message.
Hey, Mystics. If you're new here, welcome. If you already know us, welcome back. I'm Kai Bertrand.
I'm Lisa Stewart.
I'm Susie Parker Goins. Welcome to the Mystic Mosaic Podcast.
We're here to help clarify, illuminate, normalize, and encourage you as you develop your gifts so you can confidently build a sustainable lifestyle for you, your family, and even your career. We're providing information to you to use as a launching point for your own spiritual journey. We're not doctors and we won't be giving medical advice. Plus, we won't be giving free readings. Information provided here is for educational purposes only. So let's start the conversation. Okay, empaths, or being an empath. What is it? Well, an empath really is a being who can feel and absorb energy in such a way that it can take on as their own. We absorb other people's emotions. It's contagious. Like road rage, for instance, right? Susie talks about that all the time. Road rage jumps from one car to another. It's amazing how fast that can happen. Also, unexplained physical pain, like feeling the weight of other people's emotions, bombarded with, what the fuck? Or you might get a pain in the back, or headaches, or maybe heart palpitations. Also, when you walk into a room, right, you can feel the energy of the room. So, for example, at an event, it can be hard to tell because people wear energetic masks. That's another reason why protection is great. Some people shield the front only. And so sometimes it's about finding the edges to see what's really behind it, what's behind the curtain, not to fix it, but for your own protection and clarity.
All right, so now let's roll into how can you tell if you are an empath? Some of the signs and traits of being an empath. One of the major ones is that crowds affect you. You need recovery time after events because crowd energy drains you. You need to take time afterwards to clear and recharge and just kind of feel like yourself again. Um, Empaths are sponges in a passive way, which is different from energy vampires, which vacuum up energy that's active. Empaths can't help how they feel; they just absorb stuff without even meaning to. And empaths also have a tendency to be more empathetic for other people's experiences, meaning you have a greater ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and really understand from their perspective what's happening. Another trait is that people tell you their life story out of the blue. I get that sometimes, and I'm just like, why are you telling me this? It's like, I don't even know you. Why are you telling me this?
I
But
feel
that's
cornered when that happens. You're just like,
yeah.
okay,
I'm just like,
okay.
I don't even know you. Why are you telling me this really personal stuff? I don't understand.
La 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 la
Um,
la 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 la.
the other thing about being an empath is that sometimes people can take advantage of your kindness if you lack boundaries. Because as
Yeah.
empaths, because you can feel other people's stuff, sometimes people will take advantage of you because of that if you're not careful. So that's one of the things that you're like, oh, how did I get into this? It's because you're an empath and you got railroaded in. Um, we also tend to be sensitive to external stimuli, such as noise, loud volume, abrupt sounds like a car backfiring, really bright lights, when somebody touches you, that kind of stuff. The other thing is, or should I say, another thing that empaths often come across is like, you feel a compulsion to fix every problem, because of the fact that you can feel things and you're like, oh, I know what the solution to that is if we just do this. And it's that, you could be accused of being a meddler for that. So that's one of the that's one of the things that might be an indication that you're also an empath, because you can see what's happening, you can understand what's happening, and you want to step in, you want to help with that, but yeah, that can cause you some issues.
Can I just jump in and say I'm a recovering shooter?
You should do this and you should do that. Yeah. Empaths also tend to spend a lot of time alone because they need to recharge after interactions. Just even spending time with one or two people sometimes is just, depending on the intensity of the people that you're with, it's like sometimes empaths are like, I need to be by myself. I can't handle it. Also, some empaths can tell if someone is lying. Depends on one's energy sensitivity. Can also use, physical observation, trusting your intuition, and not always necessarily in the moment, but you can tell in retrospect. Like when you think about a conversation later, you're like, yeah, that was such a lie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yes,
Hindsight being
and there's,
2020.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's like, and then, so these are the common things that we encountered as far as what makes you an empath, but there's also different kinds of empaths as well.
Yeah. So overall, like Kai said, we're talking about the general traits of them, but they can also be more focused. So there are different kinds of empaths. So there's the emotional empath, which is a lot of what Kai just talked about. It's one of the most common kinds of empaths, and they'll easily pick up the emotions of the others around them. They can feel the effects of these emotions as if they were your own. So when Kai's talking about physicalizing these things, the headaches, the back pain, I mean, that's part of being an emotional empath. Next up, the physical pain slides into being a physical or a medical empath. They can pick up the energy of other people's bodies, and they intuitively know what's ailing another person. So when you're talking about your medical intuitives, they can do that. I tend to feel other people's issues in my body, and Kai's looking at me like, why would you do that? It's like, because oh no, not to right now. So yeah, that's one of those things, like gonna work on that. So next up is a geomantic empath, and those are the folks who can like feel the energy of a place, and like environmental empathy, like a fine attunement to the physical landscape, or having a past life experience. Could be some sort of energetic or psychic imprinting. So say you go to a historic not website, a historical site. That's the Internet Archive. But going to, say, a Civil War, a battlefield in the Civil War, and you can feel the emotions there, the energy of that place more intensely than other people. That's being geomantic empath. Next up, who'd have thought, a plant empath? It's those people who talk to the plants, who know when it needs to, what it needs, or to get the messages from plants. Like with crystals, you can talk to the crystal and get their message. You can do the same with plants. It also helps you determine maybe what one is going to help you in your journeying. Animal empaths, you have a strong connection with animals. Those with those gifts, the animal communicators, they can talk and to the animal, find out all sorts of things. And I don't know if I would necessarily confine it just to physical animals. Why not expand it out so you can communicate with the animal? Next up is a clear cognizant or an intuitive empath. So if you're a clear cognizant empath, you can pick up information from other people. So that's the one that plays in when you can identify if somebody's not being completely honest with you, because you can sense the intention behind their words. So the last kind of empath that I've learned about, it's a sacred clown, or the Heyoka, and it's part of the Lakota tradition. The Heyokas were the ones that um, were completely opposite. They challenged every perception. So they would talk loudly or laugh during a ceremony. There are images of Heyoka who ride on their horses backwards, or they wore their clothes inside out. They are like they're like rebel empaths. You know, they know what buttons to push to get your response, and yet they still serve that sacred purpose of asking you to question what everybody takes for granted.
Mm.
So they can help shift the energy around things, which, you know, that leads into other difficulties of being an empath, Lisa.
Yeah, it does. You made a lot of really great points there, Susie. The difficulties of being an empath can start with being overwhelmed, like too many thoughts and emotions at one time, right? Unable to
Yes.
discern your own thoughts and emotions from others. It can be confusing and often disorientating. And it also makes it really difficult to make decisions. And of course, we get into compassion fatigue as well. But it can also keep you in a high state of agitation. Strangers' anxieties can easily become yours. They can trigger your own issues. Others can make you angry, sad, confused, and other really weird, errant feelings when you're not feeling that. Saying no can also be a challenge. Empaths can be so focused on other people's problems, they in turn sometimes neglect, deny, and avoid their own. So I don't want that to happen to you.
With
Right. So,
interjecting, there's a lot of similarities between being an empath and experiencing trauma. A lot of these are trauma responses, the people pleasing, the taking on other people's emotions. Ooh, another episode. Okay, thanks.
well, I mean, that's true though, because I mean, that's what happens when you get overwhelmed and you get like this intense experience. It's like it is a form of trauma. So it makes perfect sense that
Mhm.
it's,
Yeah.
that it manifests in that way.
Mhm,
But there are advantages to being an empath.
mhm,
It's not all bad.
mhm,
You can, because you can sense the thoughts and energies of others, you will pick up that information before there is any action. So, in other words, if something is about to jump off, you will know ahead of time so you can skedaddle out of the way.
yeah,
Um, you can also sense the energetic intention of others.
yeah.
So, that goes back to, deciding if somebody's lying or something, right? So, somebody might say, oh, yeah, let's do this. It's going to be great and blah, blah, blah. And then later on, you're like, something's fishy about that. Like you feel that difference. And
Mhm.
that's a huge advantage of being an empath, because people who are not empathic, sometimes they miss that.
So
Um
Han Solo was when he said, I got a bad feeling about this.
yeah, totally. Um and so and in a sensitive situation, you're able to feel more acutely, and that allows you to put up your shield or leave or whatever it is you need to do, so that you can kind of remove yourself from a situation if you need to,
Mhm,
because you've already sensed it coming, so you're like, yeah, I gotta go.
mhm,
um the other thing is that you're able to empathize more deeply with others. It allows you to have a deeper sense of compassion, um which, for some people, like, that doesn't mean anything, but for others, having that little bit of compassion for whatever's happening with someone else can make a difference in somebody's life, like, you don't even know. So just being able to have that compassion can change someone's outlook, can change how they look at things, can change how they look at their lives. So compassion, even though it's kind of taken for granted, is actually really important.
yeah.
It can also, being an empath can make you a better energy healer, because you can actually feel when the energy is off. You can feel where the pockets of energy are not doing what it's supposed to do, and that allows you to focus your energy, focus your efforts on specific things that a client needs.
Mhm.
Of course, that requires training and better awareness, but still, like, having that ability to, like, having the empathic ability is kind of like gives you like a leg up in that respect. And if you want to do energy healing, like, you already have an advantage.
Yeah, great points, Kai. And I think it also speaks to the hypervigilance too of being an empath and being vigilant. Also, the advantage of being an empath is to be able to recognize a dark empath. So what are dark empaths? Well, a lot of times they show up as energy vampires. They show up as your, neighborhood narcissist. They might show up in your office as a boss, as a tyrant, Machiavellian tyrant. Classic manipulators, right, to get their own way, and stringing people along. They can also be incredibly charismatic. Boy, can they woo crowds and really be charming and extroverted. And wow, then suddenly you get slammed and you get sucker punched and you're like, where did that come from? So yeah, be mindful of the dark empaths out there.
Yeah, they are similar though. They share a lot of traits as regular empaths because they do have a heightened awareness.
Mhm.
But and that charisma where they can go out and read the room. Performers do that. They can read the energy of the room and they can work it to their advantage.
Yeah.
But it's not always so great because sometimes they get like arrogant or they have this sense of entitlement
Yeah. Especially if they
that
can be that master manipulator, right? Yeah. And then of course, where does this all stem from? Usually it's low self-esteem, right? And mental health issues. I do my best to check myself every day to see, what my motivation is to make sure I'm not leading down the dark path. The one thing that dark empaths don't do is they never claim fault, right? They're never at fault. Their exes are always the crazy ones. It's never them. They use other people's emotions to manipulate them. They're your office gossip, right? They're going to gossip about somebody else. Chances are you're next. They're also big into gaslighting and guilt tripping, right? They're incredibly callous. They don't care. They're always the victim and the hero, but never the perpetrator. They can also use your emotions as ammunition. So they're always collecting data points. If you're confessing something to them, be mindful that it's going to be used against you the next week. Another thing that they enjoy doing is focusing a lot on dark humor. Now, I enjoy dark humor like the rest of us. However, I don't use it to harm others. There are fail blogs out there that sometimes can be funny, like cake fails, but at the expense of others, that's pretty callous, right? They can be malicious, they can be vicious. Suddenly they are not fun people to be around. So be mindful of that. I have a question for you too. How do we avoid the dark empaths?
I would say, use your intuition and pay attention. I think a lot of times we tend to discount a lot of things. We tend to dismiss a lot of things. And if you're going to be, if you're gonna develop your ability as an empath and as an energy sensitive, you need to pay attention. Like all the little things that you would normally discard, you have to look at
Yeah.
and just be like, does that mean anything? Like, really, does it have meaning or does it not have meaning?
Yeah.
And especially in the context that you're looking at. And so it's, and then once you figure out that, yeah, this is not a good thing, then do something about it.
Yeah.
So if you feel like something is off, like if you're dating somebody and like something's not right there, like stop dating that guy
Mhm.
or that
yeah,
girl,
They're not
like,
going to change.
yeah, like take that
right.
action, like trust yourself and take that action.
Mhm.
Um,
And if you need to leave, you need to leave. You're falling in love with the person in the moment, not who you think they'll be.
Mhm.
So that's where I hear those folks making excuses. Oh, he had a bad day. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
He took it out on you. It's not okay. And you can leave.
Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is, like, leaving may not be easy because
Yeah.
they're really good at manipulation.
Mhm.
But again, if you are wanting to like develop your abilities, you have to trust yourself and you need to just take that action.
Yes.
So stop asking yourself why. That's
Mhm.
the first thing.
Hmm.
Like, why me?
Mhm.
Why is this happening?
Mhm.
Like, don't even bother.
Yeah.
Like, don't even bother asking that question.
Mhm.
because it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't matter. Like once you have figured out that the situation is not to your benefit and
Mhm.
is not going to go anywhere and it's not going to change and is probably going to get worse,
Yeah.
the next step is to, put as much physical and energetic space as possible between you and this next person.
Mhm.
If you need to ask for help, do that. Um, you might have to, from an energy perspective, check for cords, attachments, karma agreements, that which requires past life exploration. Um, and doing all this stuff may not be immediate. Like you may not be able to do all this stuff immediately because you're like, I don't know how to cut cords and whatever. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
It's okay. You can ask for help. There are lots of people in your community that can actually help you do any of that stuff if you have it.
Yeah.
But the first thing is to pay attention, figure out what's happening, and take the steps you need to immediately remove yourself from a situation.
Yeah. I just wanted to jump in and add, when you talked about stop asking why, I think it's really important because I've been in the situation before where I would constantly ask, why me? Why me? Why are they doing this to me? And it took me a long time to figure out that it wasn't about me. It was about them and their manipulation, right? So as much as I tried to be the bigger person and I tried to, show them and demonstrate what a good human being looks like, it just didn't resonate with them. So don't try to change them. And also now they do like to sabotage for sport because that's part of their game plan. So
Yeah,
get out.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like you just need to like just step away from that because it's not going to change, it's not going to get any better, it's just going to get worse for you,
Yep.
and it's going to make you just feel worse in the long run.
Yeah.
So as an empath, those are the kinds of things like you get sucked in and then you're like fighting your way out.
Yeah.
So once you start to notice things,
Mhm.
like once you realize what's happening, that is the point to take action before it gets any worse. So
Yeah.
You're watching the Mystic Mosaic podcast. Hit the like button and subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell to be notified when we upload another video. It helps YouTube share the episode with others who want to learn more about this topic. Let's get back into it.
Yeah.
And also don't
So
blame
that
yourself.
right. Yeah, a dark empath will use all of their tools
Mhm.
to help it switch around so they can sense when you're not feeling right about it, and then they add that narcissistic
Mhm.
cocktail of turning it around and saying,
Yeah.
"Oh no, I won't do it again," and then they
Yep.
do. So
Yep.
yeah.
I think more than anything, it's okay to ask for help, giving yourself that permission. Again, there's a whole lot out there now. We've spoken about the light empath and the dark empaths, but there are other things that you can do, other techniques that you can use right now to be a happier empath. So these are techniques that you can use to help to help you achieve a greater state of peace.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna, so, the one of the things that you can do to learn, like to enjoy being a positive empath is you can learn how to turn your sensitivity down or off when necessary. Because, one of the biggest problems about being an empath is just being bombarded with all this stuff, all the emotions and thoughts and feelings and yada, 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 all the stuff from other people. So, most people, I think, getting to the point where you can feel just a sense of peace and quiet is just to use a shield,
Mhm.
use an energy shield to do that. You can also use like a filtering system, which is kind of like shielding, but it's not. It's the difference is when you have a shield, it's like solid. Like you feel the difference. Like everybody's outside, you're on the inside. Whereas filtering is kind of a more subtle form of shielding, where it's like, okay, this stays out, this can come through up to this point, that kind of thing. So it's a more refined approach to it. With filtering. Establish your boundaries, meaning when you hit that boundary line, you're like, I'm done, I'm full, I'm out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
um, and then take time to process your own emotions. A lot of times with empaths, they can't tell what's mine, what's not mine.
Mhm.
And so you take the time to figure out what is mine, and then how do I feel about what is mine?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to do about what is mine? And then the other thing is having compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we do this. Well, why do I keep doing that? Like, why
Mhm.
do I have to, it's like, stop beating yourself up for things that you can't change.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like process how you feel, do what you need to do. And that in itself will put you in a better position mentally, physically, emotionally to deal with whatever's coming, because you understand that this is just where I'm at for now, and that's all. And it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. In addition to that, Kai, I would recommend finding and being with people who will uplift you, who will calm you, ground you, and won't dump on you, right? Or demand your attention. So when you are intentional about the people that you're hanging around, right? The people who will nourish your soul, they're the ones who are going to replenish you. Who said drama was a good thing anyway? Another thing I like to do is we talked about decompression earlier, right? And going back and recharging. I like to come back to my studio and get into the flow of making, finding something that gives me joy to help then nourish my own soul as well. So yeah, it's one of those things that you just need to create boundaries and time for yourself in order to, find the people that you want to hang out with. Susie?
Yeah, I like it that you have your Lisa cave there where you can do those things that you love to do because that allows you to detach
Mm-hmm.
from the ongoing drama, that the unbridled drama that goes on around there. You get and detaching, I mean, it's not doing the gray rock thing and just going stone cold. It just means you're removing yourself from that flow and putting yourself in your own flow. So you get to see the bigger picture. You get to have that clarification between, what's your problem, what's your kuleana, and what's not your kuleana. The Buddhists have a concept they call detachment, where they remove themselves from that flow. They put themselves in their own flow. There's no judgment about anything. You're asking for everybody to have the best outcome, but it's not your problem to fix everybody. And I think that's a hard thing for empaths to get past. So we're here providing you the tools so that it can be an easier, you have a path laid out in front of you. um, so detachment allows you to not get overly invested in other people and their karma and their lessons and their everything. So at first one may think, oh, but I have to care. We can care, but to get so wrapped around the axle in somebody else's drama, that's where the draining energy happens. You know, it's not that I don't care. I do care, but I care from a distance, I guess we can say, because you need to handle your own issues. Uh, if you don't, then you're going to be learning new lessons over again. You've got to go through and integrate these life experiences in a way that help enhance your spiritual growth. I can't learn somebody else's lessons for them because then they don't learn it. And it's honestly, when you have that sense of detachment, it is so refreshing just to think, oh, that person's not in my head. I mean, we've done some clearing, so I was able to detach from other things, and it was really nice and quiet in my head. And then I remembered, oh, yeah, I need to fill in with source. That took me a week, to be honest. Um, uh, and as an empath, one of those caveats is that you can't soften the blow for somebody else's experience. They've got to learn it. But in that is your lesson, is your learning, in that you need to work on yourself. You get to focus on yourself.
Mhm.
I don't understand the last note. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I
Well,
don't know how to integrate that one.
that's a phrase where people, that's like a common phrase that people have said, like the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
My favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, like this lesson about detachment, it's like a friend of mine years ago, because I told her, I'm like, why is it that, I'm trying to tell these people like what's happening so that they don't get hurt or blah blah blah. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? It was Jesus's job to save the world, not yours. Let him do it. I was like, oh. So whenever I'm tempted to like tell someone, you know, it'd be easier if you actually did this
Mhm.
versus
God.
that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I always try to like, I remind myself it was Jesus's job to save the world, not mine.
Yeah. And it
Okay,
goes
so that goes into that empaths wanting to fix everybody.
exactly.
Okay, so I must be okay. I'm happy with being further along with that. Okay, I don't try to fix anybody.
Yeah, no, well, you know, for me, it's like that. It's that, oh, it would be so much easier if you would, you know, like you make this so hard. Why, you know, that kind of thing. And yeah. So every once in a
Or
while, I mean,
yeah.
I'm better at it than I used to be. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, she
Or
was
you
like,
yeah, or
she's yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
and you try to help somebody and it turns around and bites you in the ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's some of that too. And you know, but for me, it's just, you know, I don't know if it's being an empath thing or what, or just being observant. You know, I'm like, well, if you did it this way, it might actually save you some time, and you know, and yeah, you get the, well, I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm like, okay, well, good luck then.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, you know, so and then you know, then they come back and like, well, I don't know why that didn't work. I'm like, I don't know. You know, so it's like,
What's the lesson in this?
yeah, I was like, all right, you know, like I'm just like, whatever. But back to being an empath, you know, because many of us are empaths. And getting inundated with other people's energies can be exhausting, leaving you drained, emotional, and you know, energetically compromised. Um, we looked at how to determine if you're an empath, the advantages, the difficulties, and how to identify dark empaths so that you can avoid them. The healthiest way to maintain your emotional and mental health is to use energy shields to protect yourself when you engage with others. Make sure you have a space where you can recharge in peace. And remember to ask for help when you need it.
Exactly. We hope you've enjoyed our chat about empaths. Next up, Gaia has a message for you. If there's a topic that you would like us to cover, please let us know. Please consider supporting us on this journey by picking up Kai's audio energy course at handsonfire.buzz, getting your copy of my 2023 calendar planner that includes mindset tools at cocreatemagic.com, and don't forget to listen to Susie's meditation episodes on her podcast at bluelightninghealing.com. Also, you can listen to our podcast on Spotify at your convenience. Woohoo! So do check us out there and please share with your friends because we could use the added camaraderie. And if you know this episode helps somebody else in your life, please share it. We would love for you to do that.
Tell us in the comments section what your thoughts are about this topic and share your experiences with us. Thanks. Hiya, it's Susie here. We just finished talking about empaths and what they are, how you can tell, what to do, how to handle it. And Gaia is very happy to come through whenever we want her to. And so, I don't know. She's been kind of coy about what she wants to talk about because I don't always have to know the end of the story. Thank you, dear. But yeah, let's have her come through and see what she's got for us. Okay, got it. Hello, my darlings. You're coming along so far and at just the right pace. So she tells me you've been talking about being an empath, feeling other things around you. What I would like to offer to you, they talked a little bit about boundaries and protections, but let me offer up my favorite thing. There are days when you are so drained, somebody got in through your protection, or one of these They call them dark empaths got in and caused a little havoc in your energy. Here's my option for protection, with the added benefit of being Source wrapping you up in love. So you breathe, as we love to have you do. And as you ground, sending your energy down to me. And as you call in Source, because you are a child of the earth and sky. And allow yourself to just snuggle in. See, she just put on her sweater. So she's feeling comfortable. She's feeling loved. This was a special gift to her. And this sweater is imbued with source love, with earth love, and with the love of the person who gave it to her and her love back. And after this weekend, she's not particularly drained, but she does realize she needs to come back to herself to regain that equilibrium. So you get to choose what sort of warm, comfy wrap. Frequently, I'll ask people to wrap themselves up in pink. Divine love, that's Mother Mary's color. She's a dear friend. And that pink, wrapping somebody in the pink energy has often been used to calm them down, to have them protected in a way that it detaches them from you. I'd like to switch that around and have you wrap yourself up in the pink blanket, the pink sweater, whatever it is you wish. Because we are not bound to what you think it ought to be. It's what's going to make you feel most comfortable, happiest, safest. We want you to feel safe. And so after a particularly trying day, yes, you do the clearing, but here's a way for you to fill in with source and protect. Wrap yourself up in this and just breathe. Yes, please take that few moments you may need to just breathe. Don't ponder anything. Don't think, just breathe. If you need a focus, make it your breath. Make it the sweater, your pink wrap. Locking out all the other things, they can wait. And breathe. Feel the comfort. Feel the love. And feel the protection. We provide you with all you need in this lifetime. You have stability, you have a foundation, and the abundance is more than you can ever possibly imagine. But think outside of your box. Be in your warm, comfy, and think outside of the box. And this is where the intentions get set. This is when you can soothe yourself, calm yourself, and set intentions for bigger and better things. Yeah, that's what we have. Love yourself and wrap yourself up in the comfies. We love you.
Until next time, stay grounded, shielded, magical.